As we begin to think about the use of targeted therapies in the context of early relapse, I think it's important that we recognize that the treatment landscape for most patients has changed dramatically. Previously, we'd been using and dependent on a lot of CD38 based salvage therapies in the early relapse setting, but that was prior to the movement of CD38 antibodies into the induction therapy and in some cases, even the maintenance therapy setting. And so, this in many ways has changed the landscape of how we think about approaching management of patients in early relapse. It doesn't necessarily mean that the use of CD38 based combinations may not be effective. It's just that their efficacy may not be what we expected in randomized phase 3 trials. It's into this landscape that we see agents like CAR T cells, bispecific antibodies, as well as antibody drug conjugates really making big inroads based on the fact that these represent new targets and new therapeutic approaches for patients who may have already seen agents such as IMiDs, proteasome inhibitors, high dose therapy and transplant, and CD38 as part of their first line therapy. Each of these approaches really does represent novel treatment outcomes that really can change the landscape of early relapsed myeloma, particularly the regulatory approvals of both cilta-cel in second-line therapy and ide-cel in third-line therapy offers us the ability to potentially give treatment-free intervals to patients in the context or setting of early relapse. Similarly, the early trials suggesting that the use of bispecific antibodies targeting either BCMA or GPRC5D or part of combinations with other agents also suggest that the efficacy is at a level similar, if not better, than what we'd seen with other treatment options in the early relapse setting. And finally, antibody drug conjugates such as belantamab mafodotin, particularly in the DREAMM-7 and DREAMM-8 studies in early relapse, suggests that partnering with either IMiDs or proteasome inhibitors represents a really exciting and therapeutic opportunity for patients, particularly those who may not necessarily be suited for CAR T-cell or bispecific therapy-based approaches. And this data, not only with long remissions, but also overall survival, suggests that the use of antibody drug conjugates, we hope, will rapidly return to the treatment armamentarium, particularly in the context of early relapsed myeloma. So I think what you've heard is a really a good summary in many ways of the therapeutic landscape, its changes in the context of moving anti-CD38 antibodies to early lines of therapy, particularly induction therapy, and in many instances, maintenance, which I think has opened up the realm to new targeted approaches using CAR T cells, bispecifics, and antibody drug conjugates, each of which is having or has phase 3 data supporting their use in earlier lines of therapy.